Good evening, everybody, and welcome. My name's Gabrielle Kelly, the Director of the Adelaide Thinkers in Residence program, and I'm thrilled to see you all here. It's wonderful. Firstly, I'd like to acknowledge that we're meeting on Kaurna land, and I honour and recognise the elders past and present of the Kaurna people. Can I give a special welcome to the Minister Tom Kenyon, the Minister for Road Safety, Mark Goldsworthy, the Shadow Minister for Road Safety, Rachel Sanderson MP, the Member for Adelaide, Lachlan McIntosh, the President of the Australasian College of Road Safety, and Sir Eric Neal, the Chair of the South Australian Government Road Safety Advisory Council and Patron of the Hawke Centre. Welcome, Sir Eric. I'd also like to acknowledge and welcome leaders from the road safety, transport and cycling industries and communities in South Australia. Particularly tonight, I'd like to make welcome of Professor Fred Wegman, who we'll be hearing from a little bit later. This is your big night and everyone's here to listen to your recommendations, Fred, so just relax for a moment longer. But I'd also like to welcome some other thinkers in residence who happen to be in South Australia at the moment. Mr. John McTurnan, who arrived yesterday, I don't think he's still jet-lagged, but he's already started work, and he'll be working with us on building a new partnership between the people of South Australia and their government, especially in relationship to the delivery of government services. I'd like to welcome Professor Joran Roos as well, who's here with us now working with the manufacturing industry on manufacturing into the future, including delivering 9 workshops directly to 10 South Australian manufacturing companies. I note too that yesterday, some of you may have seen referred to in the press or in the radio, the report of Judge Peggy Hora. And so she's among us tonight. Her report's just been released and it attracted a good deal of attention, which I'm really thrilled about. So one way or another, this is a red letter week for the Adelaide Thinkers in Residence program. We've got so many amazing people working on behalf of South Australia and our future. Now, many of you I see in the audience were here in May when we began this amazing experiment with Professor Wegman, and I see other familiar faces that come regularly to our Thinkers programs, and I thank you for being here. May I say a special welcome to our partners in the residency, the Department of Premier and Cabinet, the Department of Transport, Energy and Infrastructure, the South Australia Police, the Motor Accident Commission, the RAA, the Unley City Council, Flinders University, Department of Education and Children's Services, the University of Adelaide, the University of South Australia and Health South Australia. Now, you know what a big commitment these residencies are as you oversee the importance and the huge task of this work, partners. I cannot thank you enough, and I thank you in anticipation for the work that will fall out of Professor Wegman's recommendations, which will need your support to implement. As you know, and I think all of you ladies and gentlemen are aware of this, that the implementation of the recommendations is our ultimate goal and to which we stay dedicated for a long time after the residency. We're determined to extract significant benefits for our work of our thinkers, and this commitment extends well beyond the residency itself. It may take up to 2 years to drive some of the changes home, and the results really begin to be apparent after that in some cases. Now, I know that most of you are well aware of our program, so I won't delay on that for long, but just suffice it to say that the Thinkers in Residence program has changed the face of a number of important areas in South Australian life. It's changed the face of early childhood education with the new service delivery model brought in by Fraser Mustard. It's changed and begun to solve the problem of long-term homelessness with the Common Ground Apartments and Roseanne Hegarty's homeless housing model from New York. It's brought more resources into bioinnovation and that young industry with Moira Smith, and it's strengthened science education with the RIOs, while also improving media coverage of science across the whole of the country with the residency of Susan Greenfield. It's also helped make South Australia a leader in renewable energy with Herbie Giroday's work, and it's building South Australia as a leader in social innovation with the Australian Centre for Social Innovation, the work of Jeff Mulgan. We, with our partners, I hope, the leaders in road safety in South Australia, will work with the same fervour as other partner groups have done to advance the recommendations of Professor Wegman, and we commit to that. I'd like to thank previous Ministers of Road Safety for their commitment to this work, and I'm delighted now to introduce our new Minister for Road Safety, Minister Tom Kenyon, who is also the Minister for Recreation and Sport, Veterans Affairs and Assistant to the Premier for the State Strategic Plan. Minister Kenyon will introduce you to Professor Wegman.
Well, good evening, distinguished guests and ladies and gentlemen, and thank you for coming tonight. This is the end of my first week as Minister in an important portfolio, and I look forward to making my contribution to what is an important and noble cause and in keeping the road toll down. It's probably one of the few areas where governments actually can do good for people without pushing that point too much. The 118 road deaths in South Australia last year serve as yet another stark reminder to all of us that a life is lost on our roads every 3 days. Tragically, another 17 lives have already been added to the list in the first 6 weeks of this year. We've come a long way since 1974, when a staggering 382 people lost their lives on our roads, over one a day. But we know there's absolutely no room for complacency. We continue to see too many people needlessly losing their lives on our roads, despite the best efforts of the state government in making the road rules and the police who enforce them, as well as the constant warnings, advertising campaigns and reminders about safe driving. These deaths, and let's not forget the 1,109 people who were also seriously injured in our roads last year, should never be regarded as inevitable. In fact, most are preventable in some way. Here's a few sobering statistics that may surprise you. Of the drivers and passengers killed on our roads last year, 35%, that's more than a third, were not wearing a seatbelt at the time of a crash. One simple action when you get into your car before you start could save 1/3 of all our, well, at least contributes to 1/3 of all our fatalities. One simple action, 10 seconds, almost instinctive. You don't even need to look most of the time when you're doing it. And yet that is involved in 35% of our fatalities. 39% of drivers and riders involved and responsible for fatal crashes last year had previously been disqualified, and 13% were unlicensed at the time of the crash. Probably coming down to recalcitrant people there, people who have a serious problem with driving safely. Speeding was a contributing factor in 32% of fatal road crashes last year. Now, I should point out too that are not cumulative totals, it could be a combination of any of the above, driving fast without wearing a seatbelt. 27% of drivers and riders killed had a blood alcohol of 0.05 or more, and over 2/3 of these people, so that's roughly 18% or so, were more than 3 times over the legal limit. It's these small, simple, stupid, careless decisions are killing us. All of us. And I say us because it's not other people. Right? It's not something that happens to other people. We just happen to have survived so far. But it's as likely to happen to you or me as it is to anybody else. So you can see that we all need to do more. And we're extremely fortunate to have Professor Fred Wegman with us tonight. He's one of the leading international figures in road safety. He's Managing Director of the Institute for Road Safety Research in the Netherlands and Chair of the Road Safety at the Delft University of Technology. He's involved with many international committees and organisations and has advised on road safety in many European and developing countries. His home country, the Netherlands, is one of the best performing countries in terms of road safety, with a fatality rate considerably lower than South Australia. And from memory, it's about 4 deaths per 100,000 people, whereas ours is around 7 per 100,000 people. So they're close to a little bit over half better than us, or a little bit under half better than us. So it shows we can do better. We haven't hit that law of diminishing returns that I was worried about. It's still possible to achieve more in road safety. Professor Wegman's residency is particularly timely as it coincides with the development of a new road safety strategies at the state and national levels. As part of his residency, he's engaging with the Road Safety Advisory Council as it develops the South Australian strategy. I'd like to thank Professor Wegman for coming over and making his time in his hectic schedule to look at road safety in South Australia. You will save lives in this state. And that's a big thing to be able to say. I'd also like to thank all of you for coming here tonight and showing an interest in making our roads safer, because it depends on all of us. I'm sure we're all looking forward to hearing what the Professor has to say to us. Ladies and gentlemen, could you please join me in welcoming Professor Fred Wegman.